straight off. Let me take a look at what do you got. I'm moving to the speculation station a lot. Speculation station.
Hello and welcome to Speculation Station. This is me, Tom. I will be today's instigator, and Will
is the speculator.
And together we're going to talk about an object. And so what is today's object?
Oh, I'm excited.
Okay, you ready?
Shall I close my eyes or are you just going to put it up?
Well, I feel like you should close your eyes. I think that's the sensible thing to do.
It feels like Christmas.
Okay, it's a little bit like Christmas, except even more exciting.
Oh.
Okay, you can open your eyes.
Ooh.
Okay.
The oldie magnifying glass.
Okay, why don't you take it and tell us what it feels like?
It's actually more weighty than I expected.
Good. Can you do it?
Yeah, for people listening, it's quite an old magnifying glass. A little worse for wear, but you can tell it's a loved object. And what's the magnification like? Oh, pretty good on my ring fingers.
Yeah, and what would you say about the weight?
It's got a good heft, although you can feel that the main heft is in the
Good.
lens part. The handle is quite light.
Quite light and weak, jangly, one might say.
Oh, you're quite blurry if I hold it up to you.
Yeah, your eye is now massive. This is not good. Okay. Okay, so place the object down. Okay, let's begin. Okay. All right. So which country is most famous for this?
In a way, I want to say we are in the UK because of Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, see, I was thinking of Sherlock Holmes and,
I
Watson
can't
as well. Who else might use a magnifying glass other than Sherlock Holmes?
I'd say in the modern world, someone who wants to read something more clearly. I know older people actually literally use magnifying glasses to read the paper.
So, what about Rainbow Six? Do you see it being used in Rainbow Six?
Are you saying a crack, special forces operation
might
squad?
Use a magnifying glass.
They might do to look at the fine wires of a bomb.
So let's dig into some deeper uses. Since you said British people would use magnifying glasses, in what ways do British people use magnifying glasses that other people do not?
Well, maybe in the Western world, I don't know about the rest of the world, but certainly UK and certainly in America, horrible little children might use it to burn ants or other objects. I don't mind if you burn a leaf. I used to do that with magnifying glasses as a kid, right? Did you ever do that?
No. I was hoping to make a laser by a series of magnifying glasses, but it never worked out.
Of course you wanted to make a laser.
Yes.
I mean, is that what it is? When you magnify the sun's rays, you're not surely laserifying?
It's not exactly focused enough. A laser is a focused beam of photons, whereas
surely
that is just... Yeah, it's you need many various glasses and lenses and mirrors to make a laser.
How about for my amateur state, I can say it's a laser.
I mean, you could dream, but you'd be wrong.
A man can dream.
Yeah, a man can dream, and a man can also be wrong. Moving on.
Oh, I feel like I've done poorly.
So, should I put this in my mouth?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, yes.
I mean, which end?
That end is, of course, more provocative.
Okay.
The other end, well, to be honest,
like a biscuit.
putting it near your mouth and breathing on it is good for cleaning it. Oh, I can see right inside your mouth with magnification.
Condensation, Do you think it... So, what do you think in terms of danger? Do you think it would be poisonous to touch the edge?
This particular magnifying glass looks like it could give you tetanus in a heartbeat.
Probably tetanus and a few other diseases. It's...
But it's been in your possession, in your house, where you are exposed to the same thing that the magnifying glass is exposed to.
You're saying I'm exposed to tetanus in my house. Nice, you have confidence in me.
I'm saying you have the most tetanusy house I've ever been to.
I feel safe now, very safe. Okay, good.
So we could put this in our mouths.
We could.
Whether we should
won't.
or not. Yeah.
We won't.
I'm sure our mothers wouldn't like us
So
to.
do you like this?
I do, because I didn't expect this to come up as the first object in episode 1. And you don't see them around very often as well. It's like an hourglass. It's an object we all see a lot in terms of semiotics. It's an object that's symbolised a lot, but the actual thing itself, not so much.
I don't mean to be a dick. Can you give me some more detail?
So, for example, in the world of computing, magnifying glasses as a symbol is often used to mean you're going to see something in more detail.
That's good.
Like an hourglass is used in computing to say something is happening over time.
Yes.
So we use it as a symbol more than we actually use it as an object.
So you're saying you should use it to focus the sun?
I mean, not on your computer, no.
So to be fair, that it's used, various search engines other than Google do use it to represent the search box on, on websites,
now you mention it.
On software.
It's almost
like that.
ubiquitously used globally.
But do you like it?
Well, that's an interesting question because I don't really think about it enough to like or dislike it. Now you mention it, its use in search bars and search fields is so neat and tidy and clever that you don't even think about
It's
it.
kind of similar to the floppy disk that we use for save icons.
Yes, although I did see recently online people talking about young people seeing a real floppy disk and saying, "Oh, that's cool. Somebody 3D printed the save icon."
They would do that. Anyway,
Yes.
moving swiftly on.
Okay, I can't help but touch this.
So,
It's quite nice.
does it float? I think the answer's...
The answer's pretty obvious because that is so heavy it's not going to float. No.
Yeah, but how might you make it float?
Attaching styrofoam to it?
How much?
A lot.
Okay.
Quite a lot of styrofoam.
How about inflatables?
Yeah, something inflatable. Maybe you could buy some cheap inflatable, kids' balls, not
So
soccer balls.
really
but
what you're
kids'
talking
balls.
about is building a boat or a raft.
At which
Put
point
it on.
anything will float.
Pretty much.
You're quite
okay,
right.
Yeah.
I could also see it being packed into maybe bubble wrap. Lots of bubble wrap containing air.
How much bubble wrap?
I actually not very much bubble wrap.
Right, so let's shift it a little bit. So how would it perform underwater, would you say?
That's a super interesting question because light performs incredibly differently underwater, right?
Yeah.
You probably know more about this than I, but light is refracted.
Reflective?
All right, let's move on from that. Light is refracted in strange ways underwater.
Reflecting light, yeah.
So if you add in something else that magnifies and refracts and reflects light, something quite.
So you're saying we have basically the Hubble telescope here?
An
That's
underwater,
essentially what you just said.
We're basically going to scubify the Hubble telescope.
This sounds great. Maybe we could photograph fish in great detail.
Why didn't you bring a space telescope in for our first
I tried.
object? This is your.
Yeah. Well, I asked the Hubble Space Telescope people and the James Webb Telescope people, and they were like, "If you give us £10 billion."
Is the James Webb Telescope actually operative yet? Is it actually been launched?
No,
It's on the
it's
ground.
happening soon.
Okay.
it's
The
one of those things.
Chinese will also have that massive bowl crater thing that they have reflective surfaces that form the ground telescope.
There's a lot of ground telescopes quite successful. There's some where they're linking up a load of telescopes all over the Earth into a single telescope.
SETI do that, I believe.
SETI do that,
With their range of telescopes. Radio telescopes.
They're all radio telescopes for the most part. All right, enough of radio telescopes and space, despite how awesome it is.
There can never be enough of that.
So, have you got time for this?
Do I have time for this? Yes, I do, because I rarely see one, as I said, so it's just nice to see it again. Oh, I've just noticed I can hold it over the question cards and get a real close look at our handiwork.
Okay, how about, can you see the grain of the tablecloth? That's the interesting point.
I absolutely can. I can also see some of the dog hairs that are on this tablecloth, because my
Excellent.
dog has been near it. And what looks like pieces of dandruff. I'm not going to speculate as to whose dandruff that is.
So how about, come here.
Oh no, he's going to look at my hair.
I was going to look at your forehead to check the quality of your skin. It's quite poor.
How am I... What is it? By poor, do you mean porous?
Well, yes. Also, I'm thinking the quality of the lens isn't fantastic either. It's quite grimy.
I'm impressed that you didn't clean it or tidy it or polish the lens
was
in any
no
way.
need.
It feels more organic that way. Well
There's
done.
no need.
10
Okay.
points to you.
Okay, so which is better, this or £1 million?
Well, I fear that I don't want to be too obvious, but yes, I'd take £1 million over an old
Okay,
magnifying
so what
glass.
could you get with £1 million that would be better than this?
I could get a newer magnifying glass,
How
right?
new?
Like super new,
So-
gold-plated, and with a magnifying quality that would mean I could see into the atoms themselves.
But yeah. But for the exact £1 million, is that what you're talking about?
I'd buy an electron microscope.
But that's not a magnifying glass.
But it magnifies, surely.
Yeah, but not exactly.
For my purposes,
No, one you could whip out when you're walking around.
That's
to
true.
investigate.
one does not whip out an electron
One
microscope.
does not.
I still like, I mean, pretty much any object you bring me today, I'll say £1 million, please.
Okay, really?
I like pounds, and I like
So what
millions of
about
pounds.
£1 million yen?
£1 million yen, how much is that in pounds? Like maybe 1,000?
I don't know, tenner.
Do you think you've spent £1 million in your life up till now? Or
That's a
even
good
collectively
question.
owned £1 million?
They do say that a kid takes about £250,000 to raise, but that was some years ago, so it could be like £1 million.
I think you're right. I think it has gone up to something like 500,000 of our
Something-
British
something
pound sterling.
Yes, which is the best currency.
Which for our American friends would be what, $700,000?
Yeah.
Something like that. The exchange rate's not great because
Yeah.
of Brexit.
And it's probably €1 billion, you know.
I like how you leant close into the microphone to tell the folks that.
Yeah, well, yes.
€1 billion. This is
€1
why.
billion euros.
Is this why we're leaving Europe?
Yeah, well, yes. So we could have magnifying glasses in great quality and quantity.
Take back control of our magnifying
So should
glasses.
I drop it?
No, it looks like it's quite a treasured possession of yours. And now I think about it, I think I've seen it before in your possession over the many years, and dropping it would be a shame.
You sure?
Yeah, please don't drop it.
Please?
It would also make a really loud bang on the table, and I'm in a quite a relaxed mood, and I don't want to shatter
You know what, I'm
that.
scared. So are you saying you're someone who gets scared by loud noises easily?
I am, actually.
Could I
and
use this against you?
you could. As soon as I expect a loud noise to scare me, it will then scare me. I remember, I can't remember who it was. It was either a director or maybe an action choreographer talking about Hollywood actors and action stars shooting guns in their movies, and how almost to a person, every single person shooting a gun in a movie would instinctively wince or blink when it happens, apart from only a couple of people, the only one I can remember of whom was Clint Eastwood. Never blinked when he fires a gun.
That guy was practice staring, right?
Sure, but there's also a certain gumption
There's
involved.
an interesting thing about Clint Eastwood. Apparently, in the original spaghetti westerns, he was given really complicated scripts with like reams and reams of dialogue.
Oh, really?
And he just crossed it all out and said, "No, I'll just look at."
I mean, it has worked out
It
for the
worked out
best.
pretty well, you know, for his sort of what do you call it, chiseled face and features.
Well, especially because famously with spaghetti westerns, it was a more on your rough and ready style of filmmaking.
I mean,
so they were dubbed in a lot of lines, right?
Do you think Clint Eastwood could have improved his performance by putting this up to his mouth?
I see. So the famous Clint Eastwood squint, and then maybe a magnification of the mouth,
Perhaps. I don't know.
but probably not.
No. Okay.
But
Enough.
maybe he could have used it in the harsh, desert sun to
So,
burn someone.
So,
Next question.
why did I bring it?
Now that's an interesting question. I get the feeling that you try to think of an object that was universally applicable, first of all. So everyone knows what a magnifying glass is. Secondly,
Not everyone. Let's be serious.
that's fair enough. I would also say it has a certain old world charm, something I associate with you personality-wise anyway. And maybe as an object that people don't use so much anymore, so it'd be more provocative and make me think on my feet, which it is doing.
Confusing you?
Yes, I must admit. I'm worried I don't have enough to say about magnifying glasses.
Excellent. Okay, so, should this be in every house?
No. I don't feel like...
You said that was
people-
very disdainful. Can you explain your disdain?
I do, because so much of our information comes on a screen these days, whether it's phones or computers or televisions. And most of these have functions that will allow you to enlarge, engorge, engross the size of things on screen. So the necessity of a magnifying glass in a normal domestic household is nil, I would say, these days.
Well, it makes me think of Brazil, actually.
The movie?
You brought up computers. Yes, Brazil, the movie with...
Directed by Terry Gilliam.
Terry Gilliam. Who's the main guy?
So Michael Palin's in it, but he's not the main guy, is
No,
it?
he's the bad guy.
It's the guy from Pirates of the Caribbean. It's Elizabeth Swann's father.
Never going to remember it.
No, we'll remember it after the episode.
That's fine. So we've... on their screens, they had tiny little sort of like microfilm style screens.
That's
And they
right.
had big magnifying glasses to magnify the
right.
screens when they were typing on top
And
of it.
interesting you mentioned that, because still to this day in many offices, people still have those magnifying frames that you put over a monitor, and it possibly reduces eye strain because it makes everything bigger on the screen without having to change anything.
Fantastic. Okay, your answers, within the region of one.
Well, it's still
out of
being
1,000,
used.
yeah.
1 out of 1,000. Whoop,
So,
whoop.
and I think this is a good wrap-up question.
Hmm.
How can this be improved?
No, I don't know how to answer that. As I say, with modern technology, it's
the
already
perfect object.
it's already been built in. I would say, in order for it to be improved, it would need to be part of our augmented reality. So if I had a tiny magnification mod in my physical eyeball that someone had inserted, and I could think it would just go over my eye, or eyes plural, and suddenly I have zoom.
I think you've taken it a little further than I expected. I mean, at least from the angle I was thinking about.
Well, how would
it.
you improve
Yeah,
it?
I mean, my immediate thing was, use better techniques to cut the glass and to sand it down and to smooth it. Use better construction methods, because...
The handle is quite... Well, now you have dropped it. Well, it's nice to see it come apart. It's quite interesting to see the lens by itself.
So when you take something apart, you learn something about it, right?
You do.
Can you put it back together?
Can I put it back together?
Yeah.
Is this an impromptu question?
Why ever not?
I mean, that's not very difficult, is it? Okay, he says not. Okay, I'll do that, but... would you also improve it aesthetically, maybe with some attached sequins?
Yeah. So maybe some gems around the edge. Is that your star? I know you're a bit bling with all this.
I really can't actually reattach it. Can you reattach it? The metal casing is hard to squeeze together to screw the thread back in. Oh, he does it immediately. He's obviously well versed.
I've broken it a number of times.
Of course you have. You tend to break everything around you sooner
Excellent.
or later, right?
Okay, so thank you for our first episode of Magnifying Glass. Cheers.
Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Cheers to everybody. Thank you.
And speculate, everybody.
Speculate on everything.
And buy a magnifying glass.
No, don't buy a magnifying glass. No one needs
Very
them.
useful object. Everyone should
Ignore
use every day.
the instigator/invigorator.
Invigorator?
I was thinking of that, but it's the other one. Interrogator.
Interrogator. Good night.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Speculation Station.